Hello Internet, welcome back for another DevPro Duel video. My name is Antinomy and I'm here with my favourite deck again, DDD. A few minor changes have been made to the deck list since I last posted. Sorry about the huge delay. I've been swamped with university work and I've only just got a chance to upload today. So I hope you enjoyed this video anyway. The minor changes I've made, I've removed Yami Makai from the deck. Reason being is it's great in the mid and late game, but a lot of decks now are a lot too fast for it, and if you open with it, it kind of hurts your opening plays. So I decided to drop it and add back Witch, because in those games where you can't open with Crystal Wing or Siegfried, Witch really shines and lets you play the control game with your opponent, especially if you're going second. Yeah, so other changes that have been made, I've dropped Newton down to 2, because if you draw multiple Newtons in your opening hand, they kind of clog unless you have a slime. So I dropped that down to 2 as well, even though it's still one of my favourite cards to try and grab back contracts and work with Copernicus and to do the resource loop. I've added in Solemn Warning. I don't think that was in the last profile. If it was, please forgive me. But I've added that in because Summon Negation is so strong in the game, and if you have any of these 4 cards backed up with Siegfried or Crystal Wing, then it's pretty much game over. Same if you have Siegfried and Vanity's Emptiness, they combo so well together. It's like the Errors and Vanity's Emptiness combo where you can turn it on and off at will. Same with Siegfried, you can turn it on and off at will, so you can special summon in your turn, you can prevent your opponent from special summoning, which is why I love this little combo here. It's very easy to pull off if you open with Vanities in a way to make Siegfried. Other changes, I've added Beowulf back to the extra deck. The reason I've added Beowulf back to the extra deck is because I missed rank 8 plays to make Kali Yuga, and because if I used Ragnarok to grab back Siegfried, chances were I wasn't going to make Kali Yuga because Siegfried's effect is so good on its own. So I decided to add another level 8 target so that I can fuse into it later after I've used my Dark for Synchro Potential or after I don't want a Temujin again. So I can go into Kali Yuga more easily. I dropped the Beatrice and I dropped the Minervas because 9 times out of 10 I didn't really go into them. I mean, the mills were really nice when I did go into them, but I've opted for a more stun oriented build. So I've added in Titanic Galaxy, which is a great new card. If you can go for a rank 8 and you don't need to use Kali Yuga, I would definitely strongly recommend this, because it can negate spell cards, which means your opponent isn't able to set pendulum scales, and they aren't able to use power cards like Twin Twister to destroy your back row, which is really nice. I've also added Princess Sprite, because occasionally you will have hands where you can't make a brilliant field, and Princess Sprite adds stuff like Solemns or Contracts to your hand, or dumps things like Swirl Slime, Lamia or Necro Slime into your graveyard for future use. So yeah, she's nice if you open badly, but other than that she's not really used. I've also added in Void Ogre Dragon for more stun potential, because there's a 4-card combo in the deck, which is very similar to the combo to make Crystal Wing, Siegfried and Caesar, except instead of having Baphomet, you replace it with Orthros, and you can go into a Void Ogre Dragon with it, and this field of these three monsters is practically unbreakable. If you summon these 3 monsters, it's game, basically. But other than that, I don't think there's any more changes, so let's get on into the duels. Okay, so we're here in the first duel. We're against Atlanteans, and I've already creamed Atlanteans many times before on Dueling Network. If you do want to see some Dueling Network duels, please leave a comment down below, and I'll do some DDDs in ranked Dueling Network to see probably better players than people who you'll find on DevPro. But without further ado, let's get into the game. So here we have a hand of 1-for-1 with a dead Lamia. So what we're going to do is we're going to summon a Kepler to get a gate, because that's what starts off a lot of our combos in the deck. Gate is the combo enabler. So here we have a hand of Newton, Baphomet and Lamia with a Kepler already on the board. So the best thing to get into your hand when you have Lamia already is Swirl Slime, because that enables the fusion and synchro plays for Siegfried at the very least. But you should know this combo. You have Kepler, you have Baphomet, you have Lamia. So we have a way to make, if we get Swirl, we have a way to make Temujin, which will let us go into Alexander, which will let us go into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. We then have this Newton, which is level 7, might I add, so we can use it with Lamia to make Siegfried, and then the normal summon Baphomet with Kepler will make us a Caesar. So let's see how we do. So I'm shooting for going to summon Lamia. Temujin's going to summon back the Newton. We're going to make Alexander. Alexander's going to summon back Lamia, which is Crystal Wing. Lamia's going to summon back. Now bear in mind, we don't actually need this gate anymore, because we're going to make Caesar, and if Caesar dies, we can get a new gate. Also, we have so much negation on the field right now that the opponent can barely do anything. So yeah, we're going to go straight into Caesar, and this is our end field. Now, this is so much negation, the opponent can't do anything. He's open pretty bad, let's be honest. But even if he did open, say, I can't remember the name of it, the 2400 attack one that can summon itself by discarding Atlanteans, his hand would be a lot better. But we can negate that guy's effect with with Crystal Wing, Synchro Dragon. We can negate any of these guys that get sent to the graveyard with Crystal Wing. And if we still had our gate, we could negate this Galaxy Cyclone or any Raigeki or whatever he's going to draw. So he's going to draw, and he's going to surrender immediately because this field is just too overpowered. So without further ado, let's go on to the next game. Okay, so we're back with the next game. Here I don't open as well as I normally do, although you don't really need Kepler once you already have gate, and I opened double gate, which means my hand's pretty lackluster, seeing as we got 2 dead cards basically in the hand. The opponent's playing Blue Eyes. I think it's a newer version of Blue Eyes, but it's running trade-in, so it's like a retro new Blue Eyes. But let's see how this pans out. So what we're going to do, obviously gate to search for the Swirl. Swirl plus Kepler. Now, I use Swirl to get rid of the extra Kepler because we don't need this extra Kepler. And as you can see, this is going to open up a Dark and Caesar play because we have the Swirl in the graveyard to summon the Baphomet in our hand. Baphomet will make Kepler level 4, and then we can make Caesar. From here, we can search, because we've normal summon Kepler, we can search the Swamp, which is what we're going to do. Swamp can fuse with the Kepler in the graveyard with the Caesar on the field, and we can get another contract search if we do want it. But at this point, this is my old version of the deck, so I'm not running a Witch at the moment. If this was me now, I would use Kepler and search Witch, because we have a dead contract in our hand that we can discard for it, and we'll have Caesar on the field to protect us, so we can play the control game. But I don't have Witch in the deck at the moment, so I'm going to search out the Swamp King, and then the Swirl is going to summon Baphomet, which is going to make me a Caesar. And this is a great field to have turn 1. It's not the best field to have turn 1, because you're not going to be negating much, because you're not having Siegfried or Crystal Wing. But it's a good field because if the opponent does clear it, Caesar's going to bring everything back, and Dark's going to give you 2,000 life points, and Caesar's going to give you a contract search to boot. So let's see what happens. Obviously, I'm going to set this gate as a bluff because I know that a lot of decks run stuff like Mystical Space Typhoon. Blue Eyes in particular run White Spirit Dragon. As you're going to see, he's going to go for the face down instead of my gate. Obviously, I could have kept the gate in the hand, but I already have Caesar, so if we both get killed, then I still have Caesar to get a new card with by using Swamp King. But anyway, he's going to use the Melody of Waking Dragon, and he's going to search out all the dragons. He's going to pop my Caesar, which I think was a silly play. He shouldn't have done that, because Caesar can just revive itself, and it's going to get me a contract search now. So as you can see, I'm going to search out another gate because I don't run my Witch yet. He's got trade in, so he's going to use Gospel of Love to bring back the White Spirit and banish my backyard. He's going to make Spirit Dragon, which is a pain in the ass for this deck. I absolutely hate this playing against this card because it locks out my graveyard effect, so I can't use things like Swirls or Necro Slimes that hit the graveyard. I can't summon back Lamias, I can't use Caesar. So yeah, this is a pain in the ass, but he's going to make a very questionable play. He's going to try and get rid of this Dark by summoning Moonlight Roach Dragon, which I found really, really odd. I feel like he should have gone for something a lot better. He could have gone for something like Ancient Fairy Dragon, summoned the Maiden with Eyes of Blue and made a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, but I don't think he runs it. He doesn't. Yeah, he does run it. He should have made Ancient Fairy. How is he making that? Oh, with this. He should run Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon can summon the level 1 left in his hand, and he could make Crystal Wing and just beat over this rather than shuffling it back. But yeah, let's keep going. He's going to go Moonlight Rose Dragon. He's going to shuffle back my Dark. I'm going to take some big damage, put my Caesar revive. And now I'm in a great position because he has a 1800 defense monster and a 2500 attack monster, which is pretty easy for this deck to get over. But he's left 2 monsters on the board. Now that means I can probably bait him out and bait out this back row if I want to, and makes Kaiser Ragnarok. I think that's what I end up doing. Let's take a look. so I'm going to take some burn damage. I don't mind type Tell. The Tell baits out the Solemn Notice, so I'm not going to get the graveyard effect of Tell because it wasn't successfully summoned, but that Notice is gone now, and I have my Swamp King, so I can make Kaiser Ragnarok, which is what I think I'm going to do after I am going to make Siegfried. Yeah, bait out the Moonlight, and then I'm going to make the Kaiser Ragnarok. And now I can attack and steal his Moonlight Rose Dragon, and he's going to surrender at that point, because there's not much he can do besides just normal summoning Maiden with Eyes of Blue, which I can probably easily get over next turn. So yeah, let's get on to the next duel. Alright, so we're back and we're going to be playing against Dynamist. Dynamist isn't a deck that I have a lot of experience with. All I know is it's very potent at summoning rank 5s and making Cyber Dragon Infinity. Combined with the Luster Pendulum, I'm assuming it fills up his extra deck a lot quicker than usual, and he can go for a lot more rank 5 plays, but he's running the level 4s as well, so he might have rank 4 plays up his sleeve. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of the Dynamist engine. One of my friends is, but I think we'll just get into the game and see how it plays out. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use Gate to search into Swirl, because Swirl is one of the best combo enables of the deck. I'm going to normal summon Copernicus and do a dump, so I'm going to dump my Orthoros, because if I can summon back Orthoros, I can now make Siegfried, and Siegfried is great as a first turn play because you can negate things, especially if you already have Gate. So I'm going to set Kaiser Ragnarok to scale, which is going to summon back the Orthoros, and because I have Dark summoned, I'm going to gain the life points since I lose the life points, and this downside of halving damage isn't going to be a factor in this because it's the first turn. Which is always great. Then I can make Siegfried Dark. Now, it's not the best field, because if he does have a monster effect to remove my field... oh wait, I do have Notice. So yeah, this is a great field, because I've Noticed it backed up with Siegfried. Siegfried can negate things like Twin Twister to take out the back row, and then Notice can negate their summons. And especially because it's a Pendulum deck, negating a massive Pendulum summon is really nice, especially if you can defend this Solemn Notice until the Pendulum summon. That's usually what Siegfried and Crystal Wing are for, is defending the notices you have set until you can basically just destroy their Pendulum summon. So what he's going to do, he's obviously going to scale and Pendulum summon. Now, I don't know why he didn't scale this and pop one of his Dynamists to search for another Dynamist so that he has more to Pendulum summon, but either way, he's going to get noticed. Which is going to really hurt him. He's got a warning face down, which is pretty dead, because I don't really have anything to summon. But I'm going to grab my Orthoros and go for destroy the back row, and then Pendulum summon this. I don't have another Siegfried extra deck, but I can make Caesar with this, and Copernicus is going to give me a dump, and Abyss Ragnarok can revive the Dark. But what I'm going to do here is, instead of Pendulum summoning and immediately activating Ragnarok, I'm going to overlay into Caesar first, because then I get to dump with Copernicus, and I can dump another Ragnarok, which means I can overlay into Caesar, bring back the Ragnarok I dumped with Copernicus, and then Ragnarok can bring me back Dark. Sure, I take 1,000 damage, but 1,000 damage is nothing in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Damage is nothing, advantage is everything, and as you can see, at the moment I'm at a plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm about to be a plus 6, so dump the Ragnarok, get the Caesar, bring back the Ragnarok, and bring back the Dark, and then he quits. This wouldn't have been game, this would have probably been close to game. It would have been 2,000 life points left because all damage would be halved, but he rage quits. His next draw was Twin Twister, which was pretty dead, so he would have lost anyway. So let's get on to the next duel. Right, so the next duel, we're now playing against Pendulum Magicians. As you can see, he's got a very good opening hand. He's got double Wisdom Eye, which means that he can set any skill he wants, and then he's got rank 7s and rank 4s to boot. So he's going to open very well. I'm going to open pretty well myself, and let's just see how it pans out. I think he gets to start, if I'm not mistaken. No, I get to start. Gate into Swirl, set Ragnarok as a scale. Now this is going to let us go Dark Caesar, because we can fuse our Swirl Slime with anything in our hand, it doesn't matter which one. Because Ragnarok's going to summon it back, we're going to gain 1,000 life points, we're going to summon whatever's left, and Baphomet's going to make it level 4, and turn into Caesar. So we've got Dark Caesar right here. As I said, it's a good opening, but it's not the best opening. It's an opening you can make if you can't make anything like Siegfried or Crystal Wing. But yeah, we've got the slime set up in the graveyard for next turn as well, so we can gate into Ragnarok to revive our field if they do find a way over it. But at the moment, I don't know what I'm up against, so I'm just going to end my turn here. he's going to reveal that he plays Color Magicians when he sets the scale. I don't know why he didn't set the Uzva Wisdom Eye Magician, but he sets Oath Dragon and the first Wisdom Eye. Maybe he thought it was once per turn, maybe he's a new player, I don't know. But he's going to use Wisdom Eye Magician to set the scales. I'm so sorry that I didn't have my notice here just to deny him and make the rage quit. But you can't always have what you want. So he's going to overlay into Absolute Dragon and Rebellion Dragon. He's going to attack into Dark. This was a questionable play because Caesar can just bring it back and I'm going to gain any life points back that he deals to me because of Dark. He should, in theory, have made Castell and tried to bounce the Caesar and then maybe just left the Dark alone until next turn. But then that risks Siegfried. So he could have probably tried to go for two monsters that could have got rid of these. Maybe like Big Eye to get rid of Dark and then Castell to bounce the Caesar. But he opts to go into Absolute Dragon so that he has future options when he can pop it. He can get stuff like Vortex onto the field to give me a bounce. And Dark Rebellion is great for OTK potential because of the high attack. But he makes a silly play. He's going to attack into my monsters. I'm going to gain loads of life points in the next turn, and I'm going to get a contract search on Caesar. As I said, some of these duels are before I had Witch. Normally I'd search Witch here because I already had the Gate and the Swamp, but I don't have Witch in my deck at the moment. So I could play the control game if I did get Witch because I have an extra contract in my hand to discard, so I can start popping things in the opponent's field. But that's something for another game in the future. So another great thing about Caesar is if you have Ragnarok scaled or you have a Temujin left on the field, if Caesar revives, you can revive something from the graveyard with Ragnarok or Temujin. In this case I decided to bring back Baphomet so that if I do want to switch into Lamia, I can make Siegfried next turn. So he's basically just giving me a 3+1. And I'm going to gain 1,000 life points off Ragnarok, and I'm going to gain another 2,000 life points because of Dark, and another 1,000 life points off of Gate. So he's just basically giving me a +1 and a bunch of life points, which is not the greatest move on his part. Gate's going to search Lamia, and as I said earlier, I can make Void Ogre Dragon. Sorry, I didn't say that earlier, I meant Siegfried. But I made Void Ogre Dragon simply because I drew Orthros, which means that I could have swirled into Orthros, making Siegfried and Void Ogre, and then set these contracts so that I had no cards in my hand, which means any spell or trap that he decides to use is negated. But he does have Bottomless, so my Void Ogre is out of the game, but I do have the Swirl Slime, so I can still make the Siegfried play. Ragnarok can bring back the Dark, so I've no loss there. And then I can make Hell and Temujin. In hindsight, I should have probably made Temujin first before I ranked up in Tel, but I forgot I had the Necro Slime in the graveyard, so that's my bad. But here, because I did tell you in my deck profile, I love abusing Tel. Now, the ways you can abuse him using Orthros in a scale by popping him in a back row. You can use Swamp King, abuse him away. You can use him for many different ways, many different options setting through. You can like use him with Lamia and stuff. So here I'm going to use him with Swamp King so that I can fuse and get a dump at the same time. So fuse him with the Dark, and then the Temujin and the Tel will go on chain. And I have now Kaiser Ragnarok, which means I can get over this Absolute Dragon. I can equip it to him so I don't have to worry about the effects of it giving him a Vortex Dragon, which is nice. Temujin's going to revive the Tel, which means I can abuse it again later on. And Tel's going to dump something for me. I think it's a Necro Slime or something. Yeah. So I end up attacking with Kaiser Ragnarok. He negates the attack, but I still get my effect, so I get to equip his Absolute Dragon. And I can attack over. Now, I did leave his Rebellion Dragon on the field with high attack, but that's not going to matter. I have a 6,000 beater, and if he does get to summon hit another Absolute or something to get rid of this 6,000 gear, I have Tel Dump, I have ways to get back contract from the graveyard if there is one in the graveyard. No, there isn't, but he can get back contracts. I can gain 1,000 life points, so he doesn't really want to kill anything else on the field except these two, and I don't really care if he kills them. I can bring them back with Ragnarok next turn, so he's in a pretty sticky situation. He's going to draw into a level 7, which is great because he can go for the play. He decides to go for Absolute after the battle phase. I think he should have gone with Big Eye and stolen this big 6,000 beater, but he plays my field, and as you see, I can get Tel's effect again, which is really nice because I can get another dump. I don't Swirl Slime because if I can search Ragnarok, I can completely rebuild my field. But I draw into Ragnarok instead, so no need to search. I can swirl to bring Ragnarok and Temujin, Scale Ragnarok can bring back Siegfried, and then Temujin triggers bringing back Tal. So I have my entire field. This is why I love scaling a Ragnarok early on if I can, and why Temujin's such a great card, is because from one monster I have gained a +4. Now, that is brilliant in my books. If you can go +4 from summoning off one thing, then do it. So right here I have a Banish with Ragnarok by using Tel. I can then bring back Tel with the shenanigans, and I can fuse with it, and then I can get multiple dumps, but I don't think I need to do that. So I'm going to make Beowulf by fusing. I get a dump, and he just rage quits here because I make Beowulf, which means that I can just banish and attack for game, basically. There's nothing he can do here. So let's go on to the next game. Okay, another duel, and we're against Pendulum Magicians yet again. This one looks more like a standard build. It has Twin Twisters and Wavering Eyes galore. So let's just see how this turns out. So I think I get to start again. I got Temujin with Birth. So as you can see, this is the trifecta play I was telling about earlier. So this time I'm going to make Siegfried Caesar because I can. It's a lot better than the trifecta play. We have the, because I had an extra monster, I did decide to leave Alexander on the field so I can normal summon again next turn if I draw into another DD, so I can bring back things like Swirl Slime or Night Howling for a sinker option. But he's going to draw into Odd Eyes Advent. He's obviously playing a Gravity variant, so he's going to draw into Upstart twice in the he's going to get a search with the Called Cravat Joker, and then he's going to switch to Odd Eyes Fusion, which I'm obviously going to negate with Siegfried. That was a very poor decision on his part, I feel. He could have played something like set 2 scales and played Wavering Eyes to bait it out, and then Odd Eyes would have cleared itself, which cleared Noble Dragon, which means that he'd get a search for another Pendulum, which could be Wisdom Eye, for example. But then he'd still have Odd Eyes Fusion to fuse with. But now I've negated Odd Eyes Fusion, so the threat's gone there. He sets Pendulum Magician as he sets Pendulum Dragon as a scale. I understand why he'd do that now that he doesn't have the Odd Eyes Fusion, because he can search for stuff like Wisdom Eye. One thing I don't understand is he could have set both and used Wavering Eyes, which would have got him a plus, and then he could have kept the Wisdom Eye in his hand for next turn, but I suppose he didn't want to waste that, so he's going to use the effect and he's going to search out the Wisdom Eye. Knife drawn into double Newton. This is why I dropped Newton down to 2 instead of 3. You draw it too often, and although it's really nice to grab things back like Night Howling, 2 is fine, I feel. But yeah, I'm going to next turn to Beowulf, and he's going to rage quit because that's game. There's nothing he can do to stop my attacks, and that's exactly, well, it's not exactly 8,000, but it's over 8,000 damage on the board, so he's going to rage quit there. So let's get into the next duel. Right, so we're back, and this time we're against Pepe, and it's the Ariadne variant, which is a good variant because you can set up a lot of Solemns on your first turn, but it's a bad variant in the fact that it's pretty slow in comparison to other variants you can use. I feel like this is copied off perhaps Lithium's channel. It looks a lot like Lithium's build. Anyway, he's got a very decent hand with double Wavering Eyes, Clash of the Draco Rivals, and Ariadne, and Fompal Pendulum Lizard. So he's got a very, very, very good hand as his start. One thing that I will note is he's not running Twin Twister, which he should be running this format because of all the Pepe running around with Solemns in the back row, and that's going to spell doom for him in this game. So I think I get to start, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because as you can see, my hand isn't too brilliant, but I get to make Caesar because of the Swirl Slime Copernicus Baphomet combo, which I told you about in my combo video. You use it when you don't have a particularly good hand, but you want to combat. So I make Caesar here, except with Warning and an Emptiness. Now, this Emptiness is going to spell doom for him because he has no back row removal, and all of his monsters are weaker than Caesar. So unless he can somehow bait out my Caesar's effect and block it with a Notice, he's locked out of the game, and as you can see, this is going to really hurt his gameplay. So he's going to use Clash of the Draco Rebel. I'm going to flip Emptiness so that he can't summon out the monster that he's going to scale. He gets the search for Ariadne, so he gets another Notice to his hand. He can then use Wavering Eyes and get another search for Ariadne, getting another Notice to his hand. Skull Cravat's going to search into his Monkey Board. Monkey Board gets his scale. He gets another Wavering Eyes, so he has another Monkey Board, and he gets Roar as well. So he's got a very, very, very good opening here, even though he didn't get to Pendulum Summon back all of these nice, juicy monsters in his extra deck that he could have gone into the Draco Slave plays with. So I was incredibly glad that I opened with this. Even if he did, I had Warning, so these would have all gone bye-bye if he did summon them. But now I know the two sets he has here, Solemn Notices, which means I'm not going to get rid of this emptiness. I'm not going to special summon. I'm not going to use Caesar's effect under any circumstance, because he's just going to negate it with Solemn. So I decided to play the slow grind game here and just keep the vanities up with my Caesar, and as you can see, it really pays off. I can just keep attacking over anything he summons and keep ending my turn. It's going to be a very slow and not very fast-paced game, but for some reason he keeps normal summoning in attack mode. I don't understand why, but I can keep attacking into his monsters and keep dealing damage, and I keep accumulating resources such as Notice and Warning. So if he ever does manage to get a Twin Twister and pop one of these two, I can pop a Pendulum Push, which means doom for him. He can negate damage with his damage regular, but it's not really going to matter. There's nothing he can do to out my emptiness, so he's eventually going to rage quit. But as you can see, even if he did run Twin Twister and draw into it, he would probably pop these two and then have a massive Pendulum Push. He probably have got over me, but I do have this hand, which you should recognize, and considering I had Gate as well, next turn would have spelled doom for him when I summoned my Crystal Siegfried and Void Ogre field. So it was pretty much game for him no matter what he did, because he didn't have any outs to Caesar or my back row. So yeah, let's just get on to the next duel. Right, so we're back for the final duel. I'd like to apologise in advance for the slightly smaller screen than the rest of the replays. There was an error on DevPro, so now I can't actually show you this replay. But I did record it pre-hand on another computer. Unfortunately, the screen on my other computer is slightly smaller, as you can see by the shunted view. It's the computer I used to make my previous replay duels. So yeah, as you can see, there's big black borders here and here, and I haven't been able to fix that. So apologies for a video within a video, because I'm playing this from a video player instead of from the DevPro editor, because as I said, there's errors. It's going to be a tag duel in this game. It's going to be me tagged with myself against Aragon and Silver, who are two of my very good friends. And Silver's going to be using his quote-unquote bastardized DDDs. He basically stole my deck, and he's added a few nifty tech choices, such as Junk Synchron, to it to make it his own. He does hate playing against my DDs, but he does love to corrupt them and make them his own. So let's go into the duel. I think Silver gets to start here. He's going to swirl and use it with Ragnarok, and make Temujin, summon the Synchron, bring back Slime. Temujin's going to trigger bring back the Ragnarok, and then he's going to be able to Swamp King into Dark. Now, that wasn't exactly the best opening play, as you've seen from many of my videos. You don't really want to end on Dark and nothing else, and his back row is just Witch, and he's emptied his hand, which means he can't play the control game, which is very bad. I'm going to open pretty well with both of my hands. Here I'm going to be able to search into Lamia, and you should recognize this hand as a very good one. You can make Temujin, summon Lamia, Temujin brings back the Kepler, Kepler searches the Swamp King, and then you can make stuff like Crystal and Synchro Dragon and Siegfried to start. Here, because of the added bonus, I did comment earlier, having Ragnarok is of real help to extend combos. So if you can make a Synchro DD, you can bring back something in the graveyard you've used, such as this Dark, which I'm going to bring back, which is very good. So I'm going to have Siegfried, Crystal and Dark, and I'm going to be able to clear his field, because he has absolutely zero protection against any of my stuff. I don't know why he didn't flip the Witch to kill my Siegfried, but he didn't. Oh yeah, it's probably because I can negate it with Siegfried anyway. Aragon's playing Speedroids. I do like his Speedroid deck, although he does play weird choices such as this Quill Pen, which I wouldn't play because it just bounces a monster to the hand, and that's not exactly great. You have much better options than that. But he's going to open pretty badly, actually. Normally he can first turn Crystal Wing, but because I have Monster Negation out, he won't be able to do much. So I'm going to go for a massive Pendulum Summon here, because I have scales of Ragnarok and Orthoros, and I'm also going to Tell, which means I can get to do some shenanigans with Orthoros, get a dump for the resource management, which you know that I love to loop. The Kepler Twin Twister effect, which I've explained in the deck profile, is used here to pop both the back rows, so I don't have to worry about them. And then because I used Caesar's effect earlier, I get my Tell back because Orthoros actually destroys DD monsters, which is very handy if you use Caesar earlier in the turn. And I'm going to negate the Swamp King because he can't use another one, and that's game. There's nothing that Arrow or Silver can do now. There's nothing in the graveyard that can help prevent their inevitable doom here. I go for the resource loop, but there's no point. I've got that for game. And that's the end of the video. So I'm going to see you back in the deck profile to give you some last minute thoughts and some suggestions for future videos that you can comment on down below. Right, so you've seen the deck in action. Apologies again for the last video having a slightly smaller screen. Couldn't be helped, but I did want to show off the deck in tag. Obviously, me playing with myself did give me a distinct advantage considering it's a double DD, but it's nice to show off a bunch of wombo combos just using two different hands together. But yeah, final thoughts. Cards that I'm considering changing in the deck, even as of now. Titanic Galaxy. Although I did say in the beginning he is incredibly good, and he is incredibly good. Usually hands that can make him can make Crystal Wing or Siegfried anyway, so he doesn't really have much use. So I'm thinking of dropping him and adding Ignister back into the deck to use with Newton and Lamia to combat Pepe a bit more. But other than that, the extra deck is probably going to remain pretty constant. I might try out other rank 8s to boost the deck's potential. As more support's released, obviously this deck profile will change, and I will upload minor edits and stuff with whatever replays that I come across. But yeah, comments down below. I need your opinions. A deck that's been suggested and a deck that I want to showcase or play for you guys. So the decks are, the one that was suggested was Raid Raptors in my last video. It was suggested, I think, this morning. So I am very happy to make a Raid Raptors deck if you guys want to see that. You can leave your feedback for that down below in the comments. I would be more inclined towards a rank up magic build than a rank 4 spam build, because I do prefer rank up magic builds because of the satellite cannon and the what's the other guy called? Ultimate Falcon. Because it's basically Kali Yuga as two different cards, which I think, I don't know why people wouldn't just prefer Kali Yuga. Obviously, satellite cannon nukes the back row and it's a lot easier to make. But anyway, Raid Raptors would be a definite yes. If you want to see those, I would definitely make those, because I've used them before in the past and I've loved them. It's basically just search the deck forever. Another deck that I've been messing around with and playing with is Amorphage. A lot of people haven't actually seen this deck in action, and they haven't seen it being played. I haven't seen it being played by many people on YouTube, at least not very well. And I've been wanting to try and get this deck to top standard potential. It's not hugely consistent, simply because we don't have enough support right now. I feel like the next set, when they release a little bit more support for this deck, it'll really shine, because it's like a massive floodgate potential deck. But the way that I've designed this deck is to turbo through with things such as Ignite Reload, Chicken Game, Terraforming, and Upstart, so you can have a really, really thin deck and draw into the cards you need when you need them. But it's basically a Pendulum deck that basically shuts down any other deck, besides Monarch, I feel, unless you can scale the Olga, of course. But yeah, this is another deck that I've been toying around with for quite a bit. If you want to see this in another video, I'd be happy to do a replay video or a live duel commentary with this. And yeah, again, we can do another DD deck profile. I can do some live games or some DN duels if you want to see DN rather than DevPro. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed these duels and my thoughts on the DD deck. Thanks for watching, and please give me a like, a comment, subscribe, some feedback. If there's anything else that you think I should cover, any other decks that you think I should do, please leave your suggestions down in the below. I'll definitely take into consideration any comments that I've gotten. There are a few decks that I definitely won't play and I won't showcase, such as Pepe, because it's such a cookie cutter build, and I really dislike the deck to a top notch. So there's certain decks like Pepe I won't be playing. But if you do want to leave comments down below for things like Monarch, which I've never tried before, or like Cosmo or anything, I can definitely give the decks a try. But yeah, leave your comments down below and leave me your feedback. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Antinomy signing out.